HOOK, the mystery no one teaches you. What if I told you that wars don't decide which countries rise? Elections don't decide it either. And even natural resources aren't the real deciding factor. What if the fate of entire nations is quietly shaped by an invisible hand? One you've never voted for, never seen, and were never meant to understand. Some countries seem to defy gravity. They borrow endlessly, print money freely, and still thrive. Others follow the rules, tighten their belts, and collapse anyway. This isn't luck. It isn't coincidence. It's a system, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. So tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on the invisible hand that decides which nations prosper and which are allowed to fall. Setting the stage, a system hiding in plain sight. To understand this hand, we need to forget the story we're usually told. We retaught that nations succeed because of hard work, innovation, democracy. Good leadership, but history doesn't back this up. Some of the hardest working nations remain poor for generations. Some of the most corrupt governments stay rich. And some economic failures somehow never fail at all. The missing piece is money itself, not coins or bills, but the system that creates, prices, and controls money globally. This system didn't appear naturally. It was built step by step over centuries, and it didn't start with governments. Origins: when money stopped belonging to the POPL, the story begins long before modern central banks. In early economies, money was tangible: gold, silver, commodities. If a ruler overspent, the treasury ran dry. Power had limits. That changed when banking families realized something revolutionary. You don't need to own money, you just need to control its issuance. By the 17th century, private banks began lending money that didn't fully exist, backed by trust rather than metal. Governments loved this. Wars could now be financed without immediate taxes. In 1694, the Bank of England formalized the model: private interests, state backing debt as the foundation of currency. From that moment on, money wasn't created by productivity, it was created by borrowing. Every new unit of currency entered the economy already owed back, with interest. This was the birth of the invisible hand. The rise of debt as a tool of power. Fast forward to the 20th century. 2 world wars destroyed old empires and created an opportunity to reset the global financial order. In 1944, Bretton Woods established the US dollar as the global reserve currency. International institutions to manage debt and stability in paper. It was about cooperation. In reality, it created hierarchy. Countries that issued reserve currencies gained extraordinary privileges. They could run deficits indefinitely, borrow in their own currency, export inflation to the rest of the world. Other nations had to earn foreign currency just to survive. Then came the final shift. In 1971, the gold backing was removed entirely. Money became pure abstraction, numbers backed by faith. From that moment on, the invisible hand no longer needed gold. It only needed confidence, and confidence could be managed. The breaking point when nations hit the WLO here's where the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Developing nations were encouraged, sometimes pressured to borrow, for infrastructure, for development, for modernization. At first, growth followed, then interest accumulated. Then global conditions changed: a recession, a rate hike, a currency shock. Suddenly, debt became unpayable. When nations reached this breaking point, help arrived, but with strings. Loans came with conditions: cut public spending, privatize national assets, reduce wages, open markets. These policies weren't neutral. They transferred control. Countries didn't just lose money, they lost sovereignty. The invisible hand didn't need to invade. It simply adjusted the terms. The fallout: who really pays when a nation collapses financially? The headlines focus on numbers, but the real fallout is human. Healthcare systems shrink, education declines, unemployment explodes, wealth concentrates upward. Meanwhile, creditors are protected. Debt doesn't disappear, it changes hands. Assets are sold, resources are extracted, future tax revenue is pledged. Prosperity flows upward, austerity flows downward. And here's the cruel paradox: the countries that cause the instability often grow stronger from it. Crises are not failures of the system, they are features. Failed fixes, WHY reforms never last after every collapse. Same promises are made: better regulation, debt relief, financial inclusion. But the core mechanism remains untouched. Why? Because reforming the system would mean admitting money is political, debt is power, prosperity is managed. Not earned. Every attempted fix addresses symptoms, not structure. The invisible hand stays invisible because naming it would threaten legitimacy. Modern parallels the pattern. RIPITS. Look at today's world. Global debt is higher than ever. Interest rates rise, currencies weaken. Good, some nations are told to tighten, others are bailed out. The same behaviors produce different outcomes depending on who holds leverage. And technology hasn't removed this hand, it's strengthened it. Digital money, surveillance finance. Automated markets, control is becoming quieter but deeper. The question is no longer whether the hand exists, it's how long it can remain unseen. Takeaways: what this means for YOU. First, prosperity is not evenly distributed because the system isn't designed to be fair. Second, debt is not just an economic tool, it's a method of governance. Third, understanding money is understanding power. And here's the warning: a system you don't understand can decide your future without your consent. The invisible hand doesn't ask permission. It operates on incentives, leverage, and silence. Closing thought plus call to ACTO. And so the next time a country collapses, ask yourself, was this mismanagement or design? And if nations can be guided this way, what does that say about individuals? If this opened your eyes, subscribe. Because the more people see the system clearly, the harder it becomes for the invisible hand to stay hidden. The question isn't who controls the world, it's who understands how it really works.